How is it that some people are able to accomplish so much in so little time and other people aren't able to accomplish anything in their entire lives? We all have 24 hours, but it seems like some people have time machines. They make progress that seems impossible, but it's only impossible if they operate the way that you are currently operating. So here is how to get so much done that people think that you have a time machine. First of all, we need to understand something really, really important, and that is that time was never the issue. The problem that you have does not come from a lack of time. Unless you're literally getting worked 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, time is not the problem for you. The problem is how you're choosing to use the time that you have. To get the most done, to get so much done that people think you have a time machine, you have to be able to manipulate your time and allocate it as efficiently as possible. That is fundamentally how you make progress on an incredibly shortened time span. That's how you make progress that seems impossible, because you allocate your time so effectively. When we think about when we get busy, when things get tough, when we get really drained, really stretched for time, the big issue is, where are we sacrificing? What goes first? When we get really busy, are we sacrificing the television? Are we sacrificing the scrolling? Are we sacrificing the video games? Or are we sacrificing our sleep? Are we sacrificing our training? Are we sacrificing eating proper meals? Most of the time, we're sacrificing the things that matter. We're sacrificing the things that help us perform better and are moving us towards our goals. Rather than sacrificing the garbage, the things that we don't even need in our life in the first place, we always reach for the things that are moving us forward in one way or the other. If we can effectively and efficiently allocate our time, we're always going to budget time for the things that truly matter. And the more we can push away the things that are irrelevant, the things that don't matter, the more effectively we can use our time, the more we can actually get done. So the very first thing that we need to be thinking about is, where am I sacrificing? What gets sacrificed first? Because if you can optimally sacrifice, if you can sacrifice the right things, that means that your time allocation is going to be so much more efficient, so much more effective. I'll give you an example here. Let's say that you spend 8 hours per day working on your business. That's one of your big goals as you're trying to grow your business. Let's say on top of that, you're trying to get in great shape. You spend 1 hour of that day exercising, working out. Then you also want to learn a new language. Let's say you want to learn Spanish. So you spend another 1 hour a day doing that. Okay. So you have your business you're working on, you have learning Spanish, you have your workouts. Okay. Those are the 3 things you're doing. So that makes up 10 hours of the day. Let's say for the other 4 hours of the day, you spend 2 hours watching Netflix and you spend 2 hours scrolling. What happens when the amount of work that you're required to do increases from 8 hours to 10 hours? What are you pulling out of your day first? Are you the person that's pulling out the workout? Are you pulling out the Spanish lessons, learning Spanish? Or are you the person that pulls out the Netflix? When things get tough, when time gets restricted, what are you sacrificing first? What's going first? If you are able to sacrifice the right things at the right times, then you are going to be able to get significantly more done in the same time frames. The step up from this is just by default sacrificing everything that doesn't move you towards your goals. Because if you allocated all of your time to things that move you towards your goals, if all that you did was moving you towards your goals, then of course you're going to make crazy progress. Then of course you're going to make the kind of progress that makes people think you have a time machine, because all of your time is spent progressing you in one way or the other towards one of your goals. Real quick, if you would like to reach peak performance, I've left no stone unturned to giving you everything that you could possibly need, including an entire course on how to remove all online distractions so that you have such an insane amount of time that you can allocate to growing yourself that people think you have a time machine. If that is at all interesting to you, I'll leave a link in the description below. So this might seem intense, right? All you do is moving you towards your goals. Okay, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but what if 90% of the time you spend moving in some way towards your goals? What if the vast majority of the time is spent moving you in some way towards your goals? It's going to happen so damn quickly. And this brings up a big question. Is that possible? Do we actually need downtime? Do we need time where we just recharge the batteries and relax and don't do anything? In my opinion, you don't really need this. You don't need a huge amount of time every single day to spend recharging the batteries. That's what sleep's for. Most of us are spending 2 hours a day recharging the batteries, sitting on the couch and watching Netflix, and then we go to bed and don't get enough sleep, have to wake up to an alarm, feel crap the whole day. If you need to recharge the batteries, go to sleep. Actually get proper sleep in. I guarantee you'll feel better, you'll feel more rested, and you'll have more energy the next day. When we think about recharging, when we think about we're getting tired, we're getting fatigued, we have to do something else, the way I think about it is there's really two ways that you get fatigued. You either get fatigued mentally or you get fatigued physically. Can you cycle this fatigue? For example, let's say you did a 4-hour work block, okay? 4 hours where you're just doing work, and that is quite mentally challenging, okay? You get to the end of that block and you're feeling mentally fatigued. You're feeling like, I can't really get anything else done. Is that a point where you stop and you go, okay, let's recharge the batteries, let's go on the phone and start scrolling, and then scroll for an hour? First of all, that's probably not even making you feel any more recharged or re-energized. It's probably making you feel worse. But what if instead of recharging the batteries, we just replaced something from a mentally demanding activity to a physically demanding activity? What if you went from doing something difficult mentally, like a big work block, to something physically challenging, like a workout? Okay, so 4-hour work block, middle of the day, do an hour workout. Now you're actually recharging your batteries mentally, but you're doing something physically demanding. And then you finish that, maybe you have some lunch, go for a quick walk. You're ready to go. You're ready for another round of work. Your brain, you're recharged so you can go in and hit another work block, and you're mentally ready to go. Physically, it would be tough for you to do anything else because you've just drained your resources physically, but mentally, you're ready to go again. And then maybe you do another 4-hour work block, and at the end of that work block happens, and then great, I can probably do another physically challenging activity. I have enough energy, I feel pretty good. As long as you didn't go all out in that 1 hour earlier in the day, you can probably fit another bit of physical activity in there. This is how we start to make really, really, really fast progress. When you are stacking a mentally challenging activity with a physically challenging activity, you make progress physically insanely quickly, and you make progress in your work, in other more mental endeavors, incredibly quickly as well. Rather than spending that time just wasted on something like scrolling, something like watching Netflix, playing video games, that is not in any way recharging at all, you spend it on doing something physically challenging and then switch back to mentally challenging. And then guess what? It's going to be a tiring day. It's going to be exhausting. You're going to want to go to sleep. When you're recharging, just go to sleep. Sleep properly. Your body needs sleep. Rather than spending that time horizontal on a couch staring at a screen, spend that time horizontal staring at the back of your eyelids for 8 to 10 hours. You're going to feel way better after that than spending 2 to 3 hours watching Netflix and then spending 6 or 7 hours in bed. So I think that's a really important thing to do, is trying to cycle between physically challenging and then mentally challenging. This is how you can get a significant amount more done within the 24 hours without having to waste time recharging the batteries. The final thing we can do is just try to optimize, try to find efficiencies. Always look for ways you can become more efficient, improve your allocation of time. First place to start is, what can you get rid of? What can you just get out of your life? What do you just not need in there? What is something that I'm currently doing that if I just removed, I would have so much time back that I could actually allocate to these goals that it would be unreasonable for me not to achieve it. Let's say I'm trying to get in great shape, but I don't have time for it. How could I get an hour back? What if I just got rid of social media? Well, that's an hour a day that I could get back. Well, then I could definitely pursue that physical goal. Let's say you're trying to learn Spanish, okay? Well, if I cut out politics and current affairs, or if I cut out my Netflix time, I could probably spend an hour a day learning Spanish. And then, well, wow, in a year, I will be actually nearly fluent in Spanish. Wow, that could be a cool thing to do as well. Eliminating is absolutely going to be the best place to start. How much can you eliminate? How much can you just get rid of, get out of your life? Because for most of us, the reason that we're so slow in our progress, the reason that we're not making progress as quickly as we would like, is because we're clogged up. Our time is clogged up by things that we don't actually need to be doing. If we can remove these things, we have so much time back that you can just sit there and go, damn, well, it makes a lot of sense for me to achieve my goal twice as quickly now that I have all this time back. So that's elimination, like completely removing something. But what about batching? Do we need to do stuff one at a time, or can we just do this all at once? Great example of this is cooking. I only cook once a week. Why on earth would I cook every single meal of the day? Why would I want to make 4 decisions a day when I could make 1 decision a week? I've just saved myself 27 decisions a week, right? I've just saved myself having to cook 27 times a week. I've just reduced the amount of time that I spend cooking, thinking about food, buying groceries, cleaning up significantly, a significant amount. Even things like text messages, responding to group chats, things like that. Do I have to do that all the time? Or can I just do that once a day or once a week? How can I batch tasks that are not super, super important so that I can get all this time back? And more importantly, I can get a lot of mental space back, a lot of mental bandwidth that I can now allocate towards my goals, towards things that I'm trying to pursue and become better at. Rather than always be constantly thinking about an open-ended text conversation or what you're going to have for lunch, you can just spend all of that time thinking about your work, thinking about the workout you're currently doing, thinking about the Spanish that you're learning, whatever it is, you can actually allocate that mental space to things that you're trying to progress in. So there's a whole host of things that you could be doing to make progress so quickly that people think that you have a time machine. Really good place to start is thinking about what you're sacrificing. Try to sacrifice the right things. What can we eliminate? What can we get out of our lives? What can we batch rather than just doing one at a time? And how can we kind of cycle between these mentally challenging activities and physically challenging activities so we don't have to be constantly recharging the batteries? And when we are recharging the batteries, let's actually do it properly. Get some proper sleep, and we're going to be golden. We can get so much done in such a shortened time frame. That is how you get so much done that people think you have a time machine. If you like the video, if you got some value out of it, if you found it interesting, then like and subscribe. There's probably a video around here that you might be interested in, so I will see you in one of those.